So let's start here. 8 VIP Protection Unit members appeared in the Randburg Magistrates Court today. This comes, of course, after that viral video which showed them kicking and slapping 3 members of the public on a Johannesburg highway. Now, they've been charged with pointing a firearm, assault and malicious damage to property. The matter postponed to the 26th of July. Our reporter Heidi Jokos was in court and she joins us now. Now, Heidi, this issue has gone viral. So we've all seen that shocking video of these protection unit members being very brutal with these 3 motorists. So talk to me, because I believe that today for the first time in court, we actually heard, even during the bail application, the point of view of the officers. So let's start in the beginning. Who are these officers in terms of their rank? And what is their story?
Yes, so we do know that it's 8 VIP Protection Unit members. However, 7 of them are warrant officers and 1 of them is a sergeant. This was, of course, asked in court today in terms of their ranking. We all thought that they were just part of the VIP Protection Units of the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, but in actual fact, they are warrant officers and 1 is a sergeant. I think what's crucial here, Sally, is the fact that we didn't really hear the full story of the victims. What actually happened? We just saw this video circulating of about 7 of these VIP Protection Unit members allegedly assaulting these 3 motorists. A lot of violence and force was used. But according to the affidavit, we do understand that the motorists in the blue Polo, VW Polo, were driving on the N1 highway towards Fourways, and they then realized, they looked to their right and they realized that there was somebody in a black SUV pointing a rifle at them, and they thought they were being hijacked. And
as one would, yes.
Exactly. I mean, we're in South Africa. So they then decided to speed up. They did not stop. And I think this is what possibly could have caused panic for the VIP Protection Unit members, because they were transporting the Deputy President. And
let me stop you there, because it's been yes he was, no he wasn't, yes he was. So he was indeed part of that convoy.
Yes, he was. He was indeed part of that convoy. Whether or not he was in one of those 2 vehicles that actually stopped is unknown at this point, because there's confusion around whether or not he was, whether or not he wasn't. The Deputy President said he wasn't, but those 2 vehicles were part of the convoy that were transporting the Deputy President. So this is then when they did not, the motorists did not stop the vehicle. They decided to carry on, and this is when the VIP Protection members decided to box the Polo. And what's alarming is the fact that you have a situation where the motorists panicked. They didn't open the vehicle. One of the VIP members decided to use a rifle to break the window, subsequently opened the door, dragged the motorist out, hit one of the motorists rather with a rifle on the head.
Let's look at that video as you're talking.
Yes.
Actually, let's just have a little look at that video. So yeah, and this is exactly what you've just described to us. But I mean,
so
what
at this point,
me,
I just want to emphasize at this point,
they're kicking
one of the motorists were actually already hit. That gentleman that's laying there that looks unconscious, he was already hit with a rifle on the head. And in their affidavit, they explain how he was hit with a rifle and he became unconscious. And there was only the other 2 that were conscious and were realizing what was happening, and there was a lot of force that was used.
So this man who was kicked was actually already unconscious at this point?
Yes, he was.
So here's the question, Heidi. So today we actually heard from the VIP unit, these warrant officers, quite junior, actually saying from their perspective what happened. What I don't understand, why not arrest these people who you believe are a threat to the Deputy President? Why do what they did?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid question, and we're hoping that that is going to be brought out when the state decides to start questioning, because we're still dealing with the bail application at this particular point. But it seems as though they felt under threat. The magistrates even went as far as saying, did the VIP Protection Unit feel as though they were under threat by this vehicle and the individuals, or did they feel as though this vehicle was being a nuisance? Because those are 2 separate things. If you are under threat, it's one thing, but if they feel as though this car was just not moving out the way and was being a little bit difficult, it's a separate thing. But I want us to maybe listen to what accused number 1 told the court today, in terms of they got radio communication that there was a blue Polo that was not moving out of the way, and they needed to assess what was going on. Again, back to your question, if they felt as though the deputy president was under threat because it's their job to protect the deputy presidents. Why did they not stop the vehicle and arrest these motorists or get to the bottom of what was actually going on? Why assault and then drive off and then not report it? Only report it when the video started circulating. Let's listen to what accused number 1 had to say.
Your Worship, as can be seen on the charge sheet that is indicated as a provisional charge sheet, there are 12 charges that are at this stage currently forming part of the allegations against the accused. Briefly, counts 1 to 4 refers to pointing of a firearm. Count 5 is the contravention of the provisions of the National Road Traffic Act, reckless or negligent driving. Count 6 and 7 is malicious damage to property. Count 8 to 10 is assault with the intention to do grievous bodily harm. And count 11 and attempt to defeat or obstruct the administration of justice. Count 12 is then an assault charge by ways of a threat.
We stopped the motor vehicle because it came approaching from the back.
A voice communication from the radio that check that blue polo.
There was a voice communication from the radio saying check that blue polo.
And Polina Ebishala learning Piakinana Yabura with high speed low D.
And that motor vehicle came approaching, I think, from the 3rd lane with a high speed.
Ikena maringa dikoloi tsena tse ding tsena tse tsamaya rona re ne re tsamaya ka lining ya ho qetela e leng fast lane.
And that follow, it was maneuvering between the other lanes there, but we were traveling on the fast lane.
Ha ntse tla jwale e ne e tobile main car.
In that way, as it was traveling, it was coming, approaching to the main car.
All right, so there we have one of the accused who you've just told me was actually called to speak, even in the bail application, by his own team. So his defence team clearly feels that they've got a good point to make, that this blue polo was flagged as a threat on radio comms. And they were obviously then already on high alert. And as you've explained, the people in the blue polo, you know, the question I suppose is that rifle pointed at them. Was that after it was the blue polo was flagged as a problem or before? You know, so this is what I guess has to come out.
Yes, certainly. And I must say, Sally, you know, I've covered many bail applications, and we all stood there in complete shock because we couldn't believe that accused number 1's own lawyer put him on the stand in a bail application. That's not normally how things work. And what's interesting is that the magistrate asked about 3 times, are you sure that you want to put your
held to
clients?
that, of course. You're
Yes,
absolutely
because
held to
whatever
that
is
during the
said,
trial.
is going to be used against you in trial. And the defence team said, no, we're 100% sure. The accused started panicking when more and more questions were being posed to him by the state. And the magistrate said, you cannot stop answering now. You're already on the stand. I warned you about this. Because he's basically saying, yes, we did pull them out of the vehicle. Yes, we were using and pointing our rifles. He claims that they're not guilty of assault because they were protecting, he used the word the second citizen, which is the deputy president.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, why was so much force used?
Correct.
And why did the legal team put him on the stand? Because he's just exposed himself and the 7 others.
It's a very interesting point because the context here, of course, is we have seen a lot of very rough behaviour, sometimes even brutal behaviour on the part of these blue light vehicles, unnecessarily so. And we've seen compensation being paid out to people who've been forced off the road or injured. So it's a bigger issue than just this incident. And it's an interesting first move on the part of the defence. Very briefly, Heidi, what's the next step? When is this back in court?
It's back in court on Wednesday, and importantly, the 8 remain in custody. Well, they remain in a police station, the Randburg police station, because we do know that they were arrested and processed yesterday at the Santa police station. I just quickly want to add something else, Sally, is that accused number 7 did not get out of the vehicle. he remained in the vehicle. So there were only there are 8 that have been arrested, but only 7 got out of the vehicle and assaulted and were part of this interaction. And something that was asked by the magistrate was, but then how does number 7 fit into all of this? And the state is arguing that he saw it all happen, he had a duty to stop it, and he had a duty to report it, and he did not. But the question here is, why did he stay in the vehicle? Who was he protecting? Was the deputy president in that vehicle and that's why he had to stay in? Or was he just on lookout? And I hope that's going to come out during court proceedings.
Yeah, it's so important, not just for this particular case, but also generally in how these vehicles behave on the road. Thank you so much, Heidi Giokos. All right.